Man, you come straight out of a comic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Straight Out of a Comic Book. I'm your host, Will Pharaoh. I got young Deuces with me today. Everybody is off getting inducted into the Illuminati. We were not invited for some reason. Apparently, Deuce is already in the Illuminati of the Milwaukee chapter, so he's not allowed to get in. And for some reason, they said my application came back. They didn't say what it came back for. It was just like, it's not here. Yeah, we gonna have to call you back. So here we are.
We here though.
We here though. And I ain't gonna lie. Like normally, you know, we don't condone any other smoking on here, but today, you know, after last week felt like sex, man. I'm like, I got them.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Mm-hmm. Dudes, that man, we got a lot to talk about, man. Not only do we got to talk about the Loki season finale, we got the Marvels. The actor strike is over.
Yes.
And these people have been flooding the streets with trailer like Blue Magic and Frank Lucas. It's just
bro, that tweet that they showed, I think it was like Beyond Scared Straight, where that dude busting the room and waking everybody up. That was
over.
All the movies. It's over. All right,
it's over.
Bro, Tom Hiddleston was on the late night circuit literally the next morning.
Bro, shout out to his team, because I don't know how they pieced all that together. They was just like, look here, it's over. We got 24 hours. I need you to do 33 shows about this last episode. Okay.
No, there was certain people getting interviewed. They were just in their kitchen. It looked like COVID again. It was like,
bro, it did.
Get the camera. Put the
camera up. You got a good webcam? Get your assistant to connect that. We got to talk about what's coming out.
And rightfully so, because it was a lot that happened as far as like the reveal, showing like the people that was working on certain things that, you know what I'm saying, he was like, oh shit, I didn't know the things that you can see where people are like the stuff that are coming, you know what I'm saying, like you know, seeing I think that was the best part for me, seeing a lot of our mutuals post the stuff that they're working on, like, oh shit, y'all are working out here, let's go.
And it didn't register to me really until after that was over, because I remember I'd send a few people like, oh shit, you know, like you see them on TV, you know, you hit the little record, so you're like, oh, yo, this you, and you'll send it, and it's like, you know, everybody feel like, okay, like I sent this, you ain't gonna post it, so people see it, but it hadn't registered to me. It's like, yo, they can't do that.
Yeah. And
then it was like, now you start seeing stuff, and it's like, yo, when the fuck I sent you this? Like, what you tagged me in? Like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Like, oh shit, I forgot. So yeah, like you said, bro, it's good. It's good to see that. It's good to see like all of our mutual supporting each other on it, like sharing everybody's stuff, showing like, yo, hey man, check out my girl in this. Check out my homie in this. Yo, my homie wrote this. My homegirl actually produced that. It's like, it's really dope to see, and dope to see that everybody is being able to get back to work, auditions already happening like crazy. Like as soon as I saw it's over, I started seeing the stories of just blank walls and people just that's all
posting the sign. You see them like, oh shit, they had Disney right now. No, that was like 2 months ago. I just couldn't post about it, but it's like, hey, but it's just dope just being able to see all that, seeing people working and everything. Like, I'm glad we can get back to it. I'm glad that they stood on business, so that way everybody can get a fair pay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh
yeah. I don't know what the streaming services thing was, but I do hope they work that out to where everybody is getting a piece of it and stuff like that. And then hopefully it opened up the world to kind of see how this world is on the inside. Because I remember too, like just as this strike was happening, I remember like really coming to the defense of like in the few posts that I see on Instagram, you know, like just because like I don't think people really understood like what the strike entailed or how people felt about it. Because I remember I can't remember her name right now, but I know she's in the recent Hunger Games and she's a star of it. You know, the backlash she got for the statement she made while filming Snow White and stuff like that. You know, people calling her overprivileged and sucks to be you while you making all these millions and stuff like that, and you got to be on your feet for this. And I'm just like, it's really funny to just see how disconnected we are with each other, dudes. Because I was just like, and I really had to break it down by math. I was like, okay, y'all getting mad at this woman for saying this, but let's really break this down. Would you not be mad if you had to go to work for 18 hours and you only got paid above minimum wage? And someone was like, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, but also when you worked your ass off to get to the point where you get paid a little bit higher than that, right? So, you know, because the same thing you said, it was that realization that the world, they see somebody on TV, they immediately think that they are cashed out, getting all this money, and it's like, no, this is still a job. Like, yes, it's not the traditional job, but this is still a job, and I want to get paid my fair wage that I've earned to get here. So that doesn't mean, oh, you know what, since I'm well off because I've, you know, I managed my money well and I got a good few job, you know, movies. That doesn't mean that I'm like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna do a couple of stuff for free. Nobody works like that.
No. And then it's in the same aspect. It's like, yo, like y'all forget same thing with, you know, the average worker and your checks, taxes are taken out, medical is taken out. Yo, it's not only do actors have to deal with that, even or if they're even able to get that while they're on set,
right?
They have to deal with the publicist fee. They have to deal with their management fee. They have to deal with their actor fees. They have to deal with all of that stuff taken out. So by the time that $1 million check y'all think they getting, after all that's taken out, if they're lucky to be making a little bit more than the average person, they might be making less than you do and less than what you take home on a monthly basis. So it's just So it's just crazy.
Yeah. But we here to talk about some Marvel stuff. I feel so good. I feel so good to say that out loud without being like, hey, we here to talk about Marvel.
Right? We were just like, look, man, we jump in the picking line and we're gonna talk about Loki. We didn't talk about nothing else. I was like, I just want everybody to know, you know, so don't be coming after me like, oh, you were still promoting did. And I'm like, nope. All we did was talk about Loki. That was it. Because Loki was coming out and we would just talk about the scenes and that was it. But now we do get to talk about all the stuff coming out. This ain't even really a Loki recap. This is just word blab because we got so much to talk about. So let's jump into the final episode of Loki season 2. And I got to be honest with you. This is where I want to start. I finally have figured out Marvel's problem with their movies and shows.
Okay, what is it?
It's us. We the problem.
You think so?
We are the problem. After checking out Loki and after checking out the Marvels, what I've noticed is we have lost, and Marvel still got to take some accountability. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
we've lost the ability to just enjoy what's being put in front of us. We really get into this mindset of how does this connect, how we really try to make the webs connect to the bigger story rather than just really understanding what's going on in a particular piece of content that's being presented to us. And if you've seen the end of both of these movies, you can tell it goes, yo, this was great for these characters.
Yeah.
And once you get back to that mindset, you look at both of these and you like, wow, okay. And we're going to get into that. So that's what I feel like the problem is. It's us. We got to get back to that love of the superheroes being brought to live action.
So this is here's where I agree with you. And then I'm gonna bring in where Marvel plays their part in it, because so it's the expectation, but it's also because Marvel keeps on telling us everything matters. And I think we said this a couple of episodes back. We was like, we need to get to a point where you stop telling us announcements, because like I think about it this way: when Endgame was coming out and Infinity War, like when we was in love with Marvel, it was the uncertainty of everything. We didn't know how this was going to go, how it was going to connect and everything, right? And so then when we got that whole Infinity Stone saga and it connected and we kind of wrapped that up, it was like, okay, so what's the next big story arc? And it kind of like we at that point we became spoiled children of, all right, so you showed us how it's done, so do it again, right? And so now that Marvel, they're still trying to do it, we're also still trying to hide their hand a little bit so that way we can have some mystery. And sometimes they overshare, and that now our speculations is crazy. The fact that non-comic book enthusiasts are not like, they're like, oh man, I can't wait to Doom come and Galactic. And then, you know, even when we was doing the beginning like of phase 5, when it was like, oh, Mephisto's coming, I was like, yo, half of y'all don't even really know about these true characters like that. And I said, dang, Marvel really made so many people dive into comic books that now expectations is crazy. And I was like, a lot of these projects, if they told us that these were just standalone projects, like you said, it was like, you know, it'll have loose connections to it, but you don't need to, like, if you miss this, you're not going to miss anything on the overarching story. And they tell us that, and they say, but this is, you know, this is like a really fun time or a really goofy time or whatever the theme of the show or the movie is. I think we would appreciate it more. But because they keep on telling us everything matters and everything connects, and they gave us the 7-year plan, we're like, all right, well, let's see how all of these things connect to the 7-year plans. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I agree with you too. Like, that's the accountability that Marvel do got to take, trying to say that everything's important. And I will say, y'all gonna stop with all this Kang slander. That's all I know. That's one thing. Hey, look, I'm so sick of this shit. I'm so sick of it. Y'all look, if you change this to Doom, yo, you a whole hoe, Marvel. I'm just throwing that out there.
I ain't gonna hold you. I'm gonna be highly upset because, like, okay, I get it. Like I said, with all the legal stuff, if the legal stuff ends up and it turns in like really, like he really did everything, I get them making it. But I'm like making that move and making that change. But I still don't think changing the storyline, the King storyline, there's so much to that storyline that adds to it, and abandoning it. Like, bro, just if y'all got to get rid of Jonathan Majors because of the legal situation, just recast. We understand that this is a movie. I think we're kind of a little bit past the don't recast. Like, I think there's probably like 3 characters in the MCU that we're like, it's gonna be hard to see somebody different, and that's Tony, that's fucking T'Challa, and maybe Captain America. I mean, maybe Captain America.
I'm so glad you brought that up, sir, about Tony Stark. So we just not gonna bring up nothing Robert Downey Jr. used to do as a young lad, and y'all got children mimicking him and getting facial haircuts just like him. And y'all talking about y'all trying to kick my dude out the Marvel building because of an allegation?
He has it hasn't even been like tried. It hasn't even been. I feel like had we not learned from the Johnny Depp situation? Like I said, I get it. You know, you want to try to get away from backlash, but I feel like nobody in the world is going to judge Marvel if they wait until the actual verdict. Like, I feel like that.
here's my whole thing of why, and I may be saying the phrase wrong, but art imitating life or life imitating art, whichever one it is in this particular situation. I don't give a fuck what Jonathan Majors is doing in his personal life. This nigga could be fucking tree holes for all I care. If this man finna give me the performance that he gave me for Victor Timely, that's all I'm concerned about. That's it. So,
and he been killing it in every variation that he's given us so far. The fact that He Who Remains, Victor Timely, Kang, and we know last episode we said he gave us 3. He really gave us 6 because we saw them at the end of time as Ramatut and the other 2. I can't remember the other 2, but he literally
Centaurian and Mortis.
Yeah, he really gave us 6 personalities so far that we've seen, and then a whole bunch of just like action stuff. You know, when we saw the crowd of stuff, and it's like, bro, he is legit killing it in the acting range wise of Marvel. Out of everybody in Marvel, his range, I think him, Scarlet Witch. I'm trying to think who else gave us like the most like different range, the turns and twists. Because you know what I'm saying, seeing
I give Strange his. Strange did his pretty good.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what I'm saying, like you seeing that, and it's like, yo, his performance was so great because it's one of those things that you realize like how much dialogue man. Because I remember like when we was talking about Secret Invasion, the highlights of Secret Invasion, we kept on talking about like Samuel L. Jackson dialogues was like probably the best, you know, outside of everything else that was going wrong with it. The dialogues was like gold. I'm realizing that anytime that Jonathan Majors gets to do long form talking and conversations within these roles and everything, it's so dope to see how he takes these roles and how he does it. It's like, that conversation that he remains had versus even all the conversation that Victor Timely had versus how Kang was talking to Ant-Man. It was like, bro, he's killing it.
He's killing it. And for y'all to sit here, for people to go like, oh, Marvel's considering to not use it because they don't think he have an interesting enough story and things. Let me just be the first one to say this out loud, because don't nobody want to say it, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Don't nobody give a fuck about the Fantastic Four. All right, I'm sick of this casting bullshit. Everybody want to know, who gonna be Mr. Fantastic? Yeah. I'm saying it first. That family ain't all that.
You know what's crazy? The reason why we want Fantastic Four is because we do eventually want to get to Doom, and the Kang, and Kang is the introduction to it. It's like it all makes sense. I was like, and you have to keep it connected. Like again, if it's Avengers and everything, yeah, we want at least Kang. If they told us out right now, look, okay, we're gonna move away from everything trying to lead to Kang, but Avengers and these characters of Avengers and everything that they're involved with going to connect to Kang, but everything else that we got on the schedule, we're going to be building this other world or building this other thing. I'll be okay with that, but you cannot abandon Kang.
I would not be okay with that. And here's the reason why I would not be okay with that, because there's so many elements that you have to introduce that require Kang to be a part of this. We have not explored the multiverse like Vision said. You have not given us the perception of what the multiverse really is, and you need an anchor to that, which has to be Kang. You can't do that with Doom. Doom is still, in all aspects, still a one-dimensional person when it comes to what's going on in the grand scale of the multiverse. You can't put him at God Doom first when he gets here.
You can't go. You can't go to that.
We can't go to that. We can't go to him already with the metal face and everything like that. We can't do that. We need to see, just like how it's like, I feel like y'all are not letting Kang get enough time for y'all to introduce what's needed.
They haven't showed us his badassness yet. That's what. Remember, we said that last episode. That was my biggest gripe with the Loki finale so far. Only is that I'm like, because now that, like I said, I sat with it. There's, like I said, I definitely love the series and love how it ended and everything. But again, we still have yet to see Kang conquer. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So here's my thing. So I have a different perspective of that. Once I was able to, hone back in and go, okay, this is about Loki. This is about
it is. It definitely is.
And then we're going to talk about the whole episode moving into this. What his scene at the end when he's talking to Jonathan Majors, that particular point is when I saw what Loki was truly scared of.
Oh yeah.
Like him talking then right there, I was like, oh, this dude's crazy. Oh, something wrong with him up here. Yeah. And then to the point where, like, yo, you gotta get, we're gonna get into it. So let's start off with Loki. Like you said, man, season finale. We've been talking about all the episodes. We had episode 6, Glorious Purpose. And we starting off with, and I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I was kind of like, I liked it, but I was still hesitant because I had wished that the whole fixing the loom had been wrapped up in 5, and then you give us something completely else. But for the sake of the story you were trying to tell, now everything made sense. And I really think that, like, there's a lot of stuff people slept on.
Oh yeah.
With this show.
Yeah, because, like, the fact that the whole show was the loop, like the fact that the very, very first episode was named Glorious Purpose, and we interpreted that as something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, trying to figure out what Loki's glorious purpose was at that time. He was still villain Loki. We were still, trying to figure that out, to now seeing like, oh, his purpose is way grander in this whole multiverse. You know what I'm saying?
it was so much of, and then to the point where people weren't catching, like, yo, in all actuality, we started with him. And now we get to, in a sense, kind of end this chapter of the Infinity Saga, the beginning parts, everything. That's why even too, like, this whole talk about bringing and making the original Avengers come back and do a movie. I'm like, no, Loki just showed you how you take all of that, tie it up, and then you take what you have and you expand it into the next chapter. In the next saga. It was so many pieces. So it's like let's start at the beginning. So Temporal Loom first off, if you have not watched the season finale, we're about to give out some spoilers.
Yeah, big spoilers.
Go watch the season finale. If you have not watched the Marvels, go spoiler alert, because we're gonna talk about the Marvels. Go, get off of this video. Go watch my other videos. Go watch Geek Blasphemy. Go watch Geek Blasphemy.
Definitely watch Geek Blasphemy.
Yeah, but get off of here because we about to spoil. So we clock back. Temporal Loom is still set to explode, and Loki then got his powers.
Yep.
Basically, Loki can shift through time, jump through time, knows what's coming. I want to start there because at first I ain't like it. At first, I'm just like, yo, why the fuck you keep going back? Just go back to this point and then do this. And then it really kind of set me down to go, okay. And Loki, I've just felt like Loki was telling me it's like, well, you're not a god. That's why you can't crash.
Mind your business. All right.
Put your ass down and enjoy the 56 minutes of what you're about to see. I was like, he right. I'm going to shut the fuck up.
So my interpretation of that moment was this: like I felt like it was the humbling of, he was like, oh, I could just go back a few minutes and I can get this fixed, right? And he just kept on going. And he's like, okay, I gotta go back a little bit further. And like it wasn't until when he asked Obi, bro, how long is it gonna take me? And he was like, eternity. That's when I think that was the
100 years, at least
100 years. Yeah, I think that was the moment where where he realized like, all right, I can't half-ass this. Like I thought that I would be able to just do this real quick, but like I really got to put in that time to do this and stuff. Like that. So that's what my interpretation of that moment. The reason why he kept on going back and going a little bit further is because he was in that cocky state a little bit, like, oh, I got this. I'm Loki, and now that I master this, all I got to do is just get back to that point real quick. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then another underlaying that I saw, too, as I watched Endgame again, something I had also caught was I think there was a layer that was kind of missed in there. So, of course, like what we're talking about for those that, watch the episode or may not remember, we're talking about when Loki is jumping back, trying to figure out how to fix what they did wrong in this part of the temporal loom blowing up. It was the progression of every time he went to go do something that really kind of took my breath away to see what's happening, which is we forget that this is the Loki from the original Avengers. So you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know the time that he's in. We don't know how long he's been there, where this is relative into the timeline that we know in the MCU. But to what you're bringing up was when he asked Obi, how long would it take for me to become a master physicist like you? It would take centuries. And when they popped up centuries later, I was like, yo, it blew my mind because you track back to Endgame, Captain America. Captain America left, came back, was old. He got to live his life.
Yeah.
So what we didn't see was a Loki who got to live out extra hundreds of years, could have possibly even had a relationship with Sylvie, all kind of stuff while he's learning all of this stuff just to get back to this point, which you can see in his eyes, yo, I get it. And that's what I think is going to play the key part into when we get to the end. Because to me, if is it just me or did the season finale seem kind of short? Like that whole jumping back was a good like 40 minutes, and then we had this.
It took a big chunk.
Yeah, we had like this 5 minutes of oh my god, oh shit, oh shit, and then it went off, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it that took up a big chunk. I think because and again, this is just me trying to like get into the creative bag on what they was thinking. I think they wanted to show us how dedicated Loki was to this task, because you got to think Loki, the god of mischief, the guy that's usually the bad guy, and when Sylvie at that moment, I think it was the episode before, but when Sylvie like broke him down on who he was and was like, bro, like what, like why are you doing this? And he was like, yo, I don't want the end of time. She was like, no, why do you really want to do it? And he was like, yo, I just want my friends back. You got to think, we never heard Loki call anybody friends at that moment. Like up until this point. Like, you know, we saw the relationship.
Want to save him.
Yeah, we saw the relationship between him and Mobius, and even in the 616 timeline that we saw, you know, past what's happening in Loki and how that Loki developed, he was still being mischievous up until Endgame. You know what I'm saying? So it was like he never, and that's when we started seeing like glimpse of like, oh, Loki's not that bad. So to see that his whole motivation, and you understand like, oh shit, Loki truly never had a ragtag group. It was always underlings. It was always people that lived to serve him, people that he looked at as lower.
Or people that never accepted him. Like, even too, I think that big thing was when he was put in the loop and Sif came through and the thing she said. So it's like, yo, you already don't feel a part of being in Asgard because you're not really Asgardian at that alone too. So it's like, yo, you never been in a place where you felt accepted. And then too, and then like that's what I loved about this whole series, like watching like Mobius. Mobius was like kind of like his OG. It's like, yeah, bro, you ain't got a lot to kick it, my nigga. Like, yo, I already know everything about you, bro. Like, I get it. I see you, dog. You good. Just yo, we need your help. So let's help each other. I don't want to see you get pruned, and I need your help. But you good here, bro.
Think about like even with it. I mean, he went to Mobius to ask like, yo, bro, what do I do with the Sylvie situation? Like how do you choose when you gotta kill a nigga? You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what he asked him.
And that was what tripped me out, was out of everyone to go to, and I think that's what was so impactful about it. And I don't know if people really caught, was that he could have went anywhere, bro.
He could have went anywhere.
He could have went talk to Odin. He could have went talk to his original father. He could have went talk to Thor. He could have went talk to himself.
He could have.
The only people he stuck with was the people he considered to be his friend.
Yeah. And Mobius being that, it's funny because Mobius, the character, if at first glance you'll see like, oh, this is this timid, not so strong character, but you realize like, no, he actually has one of the strongest willpowers on this show. Like, to know that he got the knowledge of there's his true life out there, and even at that time he was like, nah, I'm good here. I like we serve a purpose here. And then even with him being able to tell the story on how Ramona was his partner and how he was like, yo, you know, I'm like, even though I trust in the TVH process and I trust in what they got to do in the overall, I still got a little bit of morality with me. Like, I can't just be pruning people like how Ramona be out here going crazy. And so the reason why Loki went to him, because he was like, bro, I'm at that crossroad, but like, I know that there's a bigger purpose. How do you handle this with this bigger purpose? So like, I thought that moment was really dope, just to kind of show how much Loki respects Mobius. Because you got to think, like you said, Loki, he's still, like you said, he's still a god, and he still comes from Asgard. So all the people that he probably truly respects before this was high-powered individuals, people who had a big reign, people who was extremely strong and powerful. And here is Mobius, who technically is a lower level being than him, but he needed him for that advice. He needed him to be strong in this moment to figure out what to do for the bigger purpose. And I thought that was really dope.
I did too, and I also think, you know, this is a reach, so this is me reaching. But this is
hear me out.
I think too, one of the biggest underlings that we had right there, if really people like, yo, we delve back from it, is the elements we really had to deal with time, with the soul stones. This whole thing was about time. What color is a time stone? Green.
Yeah.
Loki. And everything else is about the soul, which was the orange stone. What is the color of the TVA? Orange.
Yeah.
And what it proved was those are two elements, no matter what you try to do, no matter how you try to constrict them or put them around, they will find a way to be them. As we saw with the time stream, and that's what we saw with the souls, which were the TVA. All of these people never lost what was truly in them. Mobius is a parent That's why he couldn't just be pruning people around, because I have fucking children. X5, same thing. I'm a doctor. There's something within your being you cannot touch on a soul basis. And I could be wrong on this, but even in the first episode, when they showed the stones as a paperweight, I don't recall seeing the soul stone there. Once again, could be completely wrong off of that. But I don't remember. I don't remember. I remember seeing the blue one. I remember seeing the yellow. Yeah. I do not recall seeing an orange infinity stone in that drawer. But again, I could be very wrong. Do not quote me on that. But I just saw the correlation from that.
And you know what, you said something that made me like think about like, okay, because like, the dealing with soul and time and just kind of like things that, like you said, no matter what, these things are going to continue to go, or like it's inevitable. Like when they broke down why, like, yo, I get it, you did all this to try to stop the loom, but like, how do you stop infinity? Like I had a moment like, yo, why was we getting our hopes up thinking they was going to stop this? Like, there's no way to stop infinity. If these things keep multiplying, that motherfucking loom it's not going to stop it.
It goes to another thing in color theory too. Look at Kang. What did Kang represent? His colors were purple, yellow. The purple stone, that was force. The yellow stone is the mind. You're trying to force the mind to constrict time and the soul. How do you think your mind and power and force is going to stop natural selection, natural being? That's what all of this was a representation of. And it even showed back to Thanos as to how all of that collected and perceived to be like, yo, he was the ending point. It was like, yo, this is what happens when you have all of this stuff here and all this as a problem. Because if you really think about it, it's the loom and the TVA are still in the same kind of thing as Thanos. Thanos is just on one universe trying to snap all of the half of the population out, and these niggas trying to prune half of the fucking existence out to keep this loom going.
Yeah, and like it made so like He Who Remains, his explanation at the end, because like when, like I said, before we got there, Loki had that moment where he realized, like, he finally accepted fate, right? But then, you know what I'm saying, he realized like, oh shit, wait a minute, this all started because Sylvie killed He Who Remains. Let me go back to that part, right? And so when he got to that part, and you know, they again going through that loop of trying to stop Sylvie and shit, and then you know, Kang, like, it's like I said, watching like all New Rockstar and Screen Crush, you start, you know, you get the little bit of insights. And like, I didn't even realize at the moment where there was like, you see it like a traditional, you know what I'm saying, scene, but then at some point it switches to Kang. And that's when you realize like, oh, Kang is just watching this over and over. And you realize like, oh shit, Kang told us right from the get-go, like, no, I know what's going to happen. I already know this shit's happening. So that one, what we saw at the season finale of season 1, that was just the first outcome of the first incursion.
He's seen it all. He's like, yo, this supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like, bro, it's like, yo, it don't matter what you choose. You chose the route that's going to get a little bit more fucked up for y'all.
And a route that he laid. He said, and who laid that route for you?
And then what was so funny about it was, he was just like, that's why I love that picture. Like I sent the DM. I'm like, there ain't shit for that picture because that is the only what you gonna do? What you gonna do, nigga? And it was like, yo, but it was profound because it made Loki realize, yo, I'm a god playing a man's game.
He was.
Kang is a mortal. And I'm not playing like a mortal. I'm playing like a mortal. I'm not playing like a god.
Yeah.
And so that's why it was just like when you saw it, like you said, the conversation they had of just like, and what makes you think that I didn't do this? What makes you think that I did not see this coming? And it's just like, yo, and then you really start to just see kind of how villainous Kang really is. That's why it's just like this whole thing of y'all trying to say his story ain't enticing, all of this stuff. I'm like, y'all are wilding. Like, yo, Doom wish he could be Kang.
Bro, the Kang was so, because it was like you said, it was really like the big dog talking to, like, all right, you doing your thing, but you still not at my level. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the vibe that I was getting, because like, even like, bro, the way that, like, if you think about that scene and how hard Loki was trying to fight to not kill Sylvie, right? And Kang was just literally like, bro, this nigga just had the remote. Like, okay, let me pause her real quick. Hey, bro.
He's like, wait a minute.
He's like, oh, you ain't ready? You ain't? All right, fuck it. All right. You do that a few hundred more times. Let me be right here.
He was like, you can do that. He was like, oh, you didn't think I could stop her this whole time?
Yeah.
Bro. Like, I already know what I'm doing. But then too, to that point, it's just like, it was a perfect example to be shown of what happens to humans when they do things like this. Like, just even taking the mind from He Who Remains. Like, that's why it was so pivotal seeing the two of them in the conversation they were having like that. It's like, you're finally getting it. Why? Because it's two survivors talking to each other. This man has survived it all. And more than he was, because like Loki, remember, this is the biggest event to Loki right now. He's like, bro, you haven't even seen the war yet. He was like, it's me and my variance is out there. When this war happens, that's the real shit. He's like, brother, man, you ain't even seen the Celestials yet. He said, wait till you see the living tribunal in them hands. That shit gonna trip you the fuck out.
So you just get summoned and you in the middle of 4 big ass motherfuckers. Like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a profile on Instagram. I'm gonna send you Galactus. You ain't met him yet. That's a bad motherfucker. Wait till you meet him. I'm gonna send you a few profiles because you ain't met him.
But it's crazy because you know what? We put so much focus on that season finale of 1, right? Talking about the script and everything, and it's like the way that this wrapped up. Like, I was not surprised how it wrapped up after I thought about it, because it was like, yo, the very, very first thing that he told Sylvie and Loki when they finally was like, okay, well, what you want? And he was like, bro, why don't y'all take this over? He was done, but I think, again, like I said, that is part of the loop. He did it, he protected it, he created the sacred timeline, and then after a while, he's like, bro, I'm bored, man. I'm done with this shit. I need, and again, it's the loop. He knows. He's like, all right, well, it's about that time that Loki is going to take over, so I'm gonna let him take over. And then I'm gonna get reincarnated, and then we're gonna do the shit all over again. But he's like, but right now I'm bored. I don't want to do this shit no more. So Loki, go ahead, come on, do your thing, bro.
And he did, and that was the thing too. It's like, yo, he did it, and it was still kind of confusion of. I was like, I don't know if all of that happened. So I guess too, because like, oh no, because me and my friend were having a conversation about like, did He Who Remains really get killed or not, and stuff. After that happened, after Loki makes the thought process of it, did he get killed or not? But I was like, he did, because he had to die in order for it to break, and for the loom to start doing that. So everything did happen. It's just him figuring out the point of what to do at this particular moment with the loom.
Well, see, that's why I think it goes back to why Victor Timely is all like, no matter what, a variant is always set to be Kang, because you got to understand that thought process of, I want to have the technology and build something. And then when you see like, oh, we stopped this multiversal war, but after, like you said, it's infinite. They're out there trying to find other Kangs. At some point, Victor Timely is going to be like, this is, again, he's going to realize we are in a loop. I can stop this loop if I just create one. If I get rid of all my variants and create one, and now he becomes He Who Remains, and he does the whole process over again. That's why I believe, like I said, I believe that we're still in the loop no matter what. Like, I get it that was a wrap up of Loki's story, but I think that was a wrap up of Loki's part in this storyline for now.
Well, yeah, you know because now Loki, and I think that was the thing that He Who Remains' biggest thing was, that I think he never told anybody, was, I want to stop this.
Yeah.
And that's why he made Loki do what he did, because, okay, now it's a different scenario of this. I've given you the pieces on what you need to beat me. And that's even in the comics. The only way to beat Kang has to beat himself.
Yeah,
in order for them to beat him, which now makes sense as to why Kang Dynasty is a movie that needs to happen, because of the fact you get to see the pivotal point that where he needs to be stopped and where things can be changed. Because if He Who Remains is, let's say, Iron Lad, all of that changes then. Because if Iron Lad remains He Who Remains, he might not touch anything, leave everything alone.
Yep, and then you also gotta remember, Victor Timely, that one that they displaced and took away from the timeline, he's working at the TVA. When Loki took over and they did that, what the new timeline and how it looks, that other Victor Timely never received the TVA handbook. So right now, the only one that got the TVA handbook or who went through that process is the one that we saw that's working with OB and B15 and everybody like that. So like I said, he's definitely going to he's going to stay, depending on what Marvel does. It's going to be it'll be an extreme disservice if they just keep him as, oh, he's just another person at the TVA. But if they're still going forward with their plan, that's the one that turns to Kang.
I could see him working with OB downstairs. Like I could see them inventing a whole bunch of things.
He's still going to do that, but I'm saying he got to eventually turn to Kang. I think that's the one that eventually turns to Kang. Like when they go to the character biography, like I feel like that's the logical choice in it, because instead of just introducing a variant that was Kang, because now we got to go through that person's biography. I feel like this one, who's the only one with the TVA handbook at this time, who has seen everything, who has seen the destruction, who understands about the multiversal war, but who still may be like, but I'm smart enough, I can do this, I can make it happen, turns into that Kang. And then as he continues to get power and power and power, he becomes the threat that we are expecting to see.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Mm-hmm. So I guess, but the question is though, with where we are now, season 3, yay or nay? We know what Renslayer at. We know OB is like, yo, he didn't left the TVA for a little bit, going on sabbatical. Mm-hmm. X5 is basically running the stuff, and they looking for Kang variants.
I still want to see the rain. So I'm like, yay for season 3. Because like if the one thing he said, like when before Loki departure, he said, you know, all my Kangs, they're already out there. So they're already out there. All his variants is already out there going crazy. The TVA now, their job is to locate these Kangs and prune them. And I'm like, the TVA is not strong enough to do it. So I'm like, so now, okay, if these first 2 seasons were supposed to be the Loki story arc and then to bench them until Secret Wars, then I'm okay with that. But I need at least a final season or a 3rd season so that way we can really see the impact of Kang, because that was my issue with the series. I was like, at first when it ended, I said, so wait, Kang ain't conquering, and I was upset about it because I'm like, yo,
I was too.
I wanted to see shit fuck up.
Yeah, you know that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the nigga in that statue to pop up, and he did not. And I was like,
but so then after a while, when I sat with it, and then all the breakdowns of it, is like, no, this was just a Loki story, and I said, okay, yeah, this was a great way to wrap up Loki's story, and then if we don't see Loki for the next 4 years, this makes sense, because my thing is if we're getting to Battle World, then at some point, in order for them to get to Battle World, people are gonna have to go see Loki. You know what I'm saying? And so, if they got to go, and if that's the way we bring them back into the fold, I'm okay with that. But I was like, I need to see Kang conquering. I need to see that major threat that makes everybody be like, yo, we gotta team up. So I definitely want another season.
Yeah. Here's the reason why I want one, but I don't want one. I feel like they're not gonna do that, and they're gonna focus it on Sylvie being Loki. I feel like they're gonna make Sylvie the new Loki.
Well, they have a very interesting thing that they can do if they fuck with the comics, because like I agree, like, okay, as much as I like Lady Loki and and Sylvie, I don't think I want to see Sylvie based off her character arc where she's at being a Loki, but listen here, if we're doing a whole revamp and we know they need young actors, shit, in the comic books, young Loki is where the way that they built this character arc that Tom Hiddleston did of this Loki, right? This Loki, he changed. He didn't always want to be the villain. He wanted to be kind of like a hero, so he was trying to right his wrongs. So in the comic books, young Loki is that. It's the amalgamation of that. It's a younger Loki who's like, I don't want to be this, and then he ends up having to fight older Loki, and like it's the whole thing. So I'm like,
that could happen though. Now you know what though? What you just said. So here's that, because we have a young Loki back in that realm. I could see season 3 being his focus.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that.
Because as of right now, let's hear.
And it's there because Renslayer's there. Renslayer's there. Ooh.
Well, see, because I want to say this, because as of right now, and we're gonna get to there when we talk about the Marvels. I'm sorry, I'm still not hyped for the Young Avengers. Bringing a young Loki in to kind of help out with the Young Avengers.
Oh no. I'm not focused on the 3. I'm focusing on the potential, like how you are, because now that we know that, I know Spider-Man gonna be in there. And the dialogue that Tom Holland is gonna have with Miss Marvel, oh my god, I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Yo, the dialogue between all of them is gonna be superb, bro. Like, but before we get there, we jumping the gun. So let's wrap up Loki. I agree with you on that being the next season. Yeah. If it's him partnering with Renslayer to where he actually needs to get out of there and stuff like that, because I feel like the only way to, if you're gonna make the focus on Sylvie has to have also some type of glorious purpose, and it really doesn't need to be. It's really just like, yo, if I'm just saying it, and there's no disrespect, let her go back to McDonald's. Like, it's over. Let her go back to work. Like, let her go over there, go live her life. It's done.
Yeah, or sensei her, make her be like the person that young Loki, you know, if he's trying to figure out how to be a proper Loki and he needs some, every now and then pop up to talk to Sylvie, I'm okay with that.
But that's the thing. I think he's already popping up, yes. And you know what? I'm not even gonna knock it down. But I think he's mature enough for that. I think it's just being now in the reality of being put somewhere is where that's gonna come into factor, because like we forget, like this dude killed Thor. So seeing Chris Hemsworth Thor is gonna be like, oh, this is what you grew up into.
Yeah.
Oh, and he was like, well, what do you mean? Well, I killed my version of you. Like I took him out. Fuck that.
But like you said, with the whole Renslayer thing, we definitely need that, because let's say I know that in that world, that's where everything gets pruned, but like, you know, cinematography, there's the way that they shoot things and imagery means something, right? And the fact that we saw the Sphinx and we saw the pyramids in the back, like there's something to that, you know. And then we don't, you know, obviously she was looking at the smoke monster, you know what I'm saying?
No. I ain't obviously nothing. We don't know what the fuck she was looking at.
Oh, you don't think it was that?
I don't, bro, because that's the thing. I don't know what happened to Eliath after they left, because remember, he dispersed. So we don't, and then now He Who Remains ain't there no more. I don't know what the fuck she was looking at.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to put that past it. Like, we don't know what the hell Ramona was looking at. But like how, to your point, I really want to see, I want it to be like how you said, like, this ain't the first time this has happened. And she meets one of her variants, and we come to find out she's a variant of Kang.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want the love story.
She obviously was turning into like a very power hungry motherfucker, bro. Like, it's like there's way more to Renslayer, bro.
Well, I think she was a true conqueror. Like, too. Like, I think she's one of the conquerors. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind this, but I know, you know, a lot of these Marvel cats, as we move into this next stuff we finna talk about, not gonna like it. I would love for her to be Kang Prime.
Oh, I'll fuck with that.
I would love for her to be Kang. Yeah, I would love her to be Kang Prime. Like, that would be fire. That would be a fire twist in the story. Yeah.